That was verse 190 to 195. It's a really amazing, it's amazing passage. I don't want to stretch into the time of the talk to discuss the meaning of it. But if I'm allowed to just quickly go over one verse of them very, very quickly, inshallah. It's to do with Ramadan anyway. So I'll try link it to the topic. Okay, so rather Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inna fi khalqis samawati wal ard. Verily, inna is tawkeed, right? In the khalqis sama, in the creation of the heavens, wal ard, and the earth, waqtilaf al-layli wal nahar, and the alteration of the night and day, are signs, ayat, for the ulul albab. And the way ulul albab are, but when you think of intellect, as university students, you think education, you think, intellect, being smart is, getting into Oxford or something like that, right? Being intellectually smart. We peg it to secular standards. But the true intellectual person who's smart doesn't do that. A true intellectual person is someone who understands that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creator. And in everything that they do, they manifest that. That makes sense. That's the true intellectual person. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, الَّذِينَ يَذْكُرُونَ اللَّهَ قِيَامًا. Allah describes now. He's describing who is the ulul albab, those endowed with intellect. الَّذِينَ يَذْكُرُونَ اللَّهَ قِيَامًا. Those who remember Allah while standing. وَقُعُودًا وَعَلَى جُنُوبِهِمْ. While sitting and while resting on their sides. وَيَتَفَكَّرُونَ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. And they do fikr. Okay, now in Urdu, I'm not sure if everyone's Pakistani here, but in Urdu, fikr means to worry, I think. I'm not that good at Urdu either, but that's what it means, to worry. In Arabic, it means to think, fikr. So fikrun tayyiba, it's a good idea. It's to think, yeah? So, that's right, yeah? Thank you for that, Hamza. Thanks for validating that. So in Arabic, fikr, Allah says, وَيَتَفَكَّرُونَ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. And they reflect. Now, this is an amazing quality that will set you apart if you start doing it now. And when you're older, inshallah, it will have a huge impact on your psyche. It will have a huge impact on the way that you think. It will have a huge impact on how you fix problems in your life, if you can learn to reflect. وَيَتَفَكَّرُونَ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. What did they reflect over? The creation of the heavens and the earth. But it doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues. So you're not only reflecting over the creation of the heavens and the earth. When, for example, I know all you ISoc guys, you climb Snowdon for charity and stuff. And I'm sure you have the brother or sister, whoever's leading the pack, to look at the beautiful creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I remember when I was my first year at University of Manchester Metropolitan, this was back in 2013, I think, 2012, subhanAllah, I can't remember now. But we went, climbed Snowdon. It's like a religious thing now. It's like everyone does it. But as we were climbing it on the brothers, he said, look at the beautiful creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Every time you say subhanAllah, Allah forgives your sins. And it's true. In meaning, it's true. Because you're reflecting over Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's creation. And so وَيَتَفَكَّرُونَ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. And then you say, رَبَّنَا مَا خَلَقْتَ هَذَا بَاطِلًا. That's it. That's mad. SubhanAllah. That's an amazing verse. رَبَّنَا مَا خَلَقْتَ هَذَا بَاطِلًا. You have not created this without purpose. You have not created this. You're seeing this and you're linking that to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the true intellectual person. He looks at the beauty of the creation and heavens and the earth, and he says, رَبَّنَا مَا خَلَقْتَ هَذَا بَاطِلًا. This is not, you have not created it without purpose. Subhanak. Glory be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Subhanak. فَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. And save us from the hellfire. That's just the one verse. I wanted to go through that, inshallah. In terms of the content for today, I wanted to talk a bit more about how we can excel in Ramadan using some mindsets. So I'm not really, I think personally, the way that we should approach Ramadan, it should be in a practical and spiritual way, because everyone can relate to that. Everyone can relate to practically doing something and directly seeing the result. And to also go from the spiritual lens, it's important as well, because that will eventually keep growing within us. Tazkiyatun nafs. So I'm going to basically whip out a diagram. I'm going to share this diagram with you after this talk, so you can have a reference point for that diagram. But like I said, this is meant to be a discussion, and I'd be very happy if you guys just unmuted yourself and said, you know what, I've been thinking about this in my life, or this happened in my life, and then I would actually want like to listen to that, because I want this to be a conversation. I don't want to be speaking. I know I can barely listen to myself for this long, so I don't know how you're going to manage to listen to me for this long, inshallah. May Allah grant us sabr. Okay, so the first one I want to talk about, I want to basically talk about in steps. Okay, the way we should approach Ramadan, Shahr Ramadan, uh, the way we should approach it is looking at from the perspective of step one, which is mindset. Now, one particular mindset I want to talk about is the idea of inputs and outputs. Inputs versus outputs. I think, Danish, I've told you about this before. Are you there? Or is it it's just me talking? Oh, you've all been muted. Okay, so I can unmute someone. Okay, that's fine. If you don't want to talk, it's fine, inshallah. But I was in. Oh yes. Okay, so this input output theory is a very amazing theory. I feel like when I found out about it, the thing is I don't know where I found out about it. It made me really think about actually have the power. Oh, mashallah. You know, your second name is Qadir, which means powerful as well, mashallah. Okay, I don't know if I can unmute participants. I can. I am now the host. Okay, so now I can do that. Oh, okay, brilliant. Now I have the power. All right. Okay, Danish, are you there, right? I've just unmuted you, if it allowed me to.
Yeah,
there we go. Yeah, so can you tell me what is input output theory from your what we've discussed in the past? Can you remember? No?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
So my name is Sulaiman, and Jazakallah khair for hosting this webinar. So is it simply kind of like you reap what you sow? You know, the
kind
better
of
quality. Yeah.
So like first and foremost, everything in life in a very simplistic way can be put into input or output. So everything in your life, you have inputs in your life and you have outputs in your life. Can you guys hear me? Yeah, I'm gonna move a bit further away from the camera, the microphone. So you have inputs in your life and you have output in your life. So, for example, learning Arabic language is an input. Learning the language of the Quran is an input. So you have to look at in your lives. I'm giving you advice, everyone, that look into your lives and see what am I doing in my life that's an input. Now, probably the best example to provide is your degrees, your university degrees. So I'm doing my master's right now. That is my input. My output is hopefully I get into such field or desired result. The output is something that you're doing right now. That's like right now. I'm delivering a webinar or conference, or well, not conference, or live class. That is an output of mine. That is an output of mine that I'm doing right now. That is giving something. Is a product. I'm providing a product or service. Now, an input is something that you take in as a consumer. So you're a consumer to that technically, and you're a producer if you're giving an output. Now, my point of raising this as a step one in terms of looking at Ramadan, the reason why I'm telling you this is because this mindset transformed my direction in my life. So I went through this period in my life where I wanted to really achieve something. So I wanted to learn Arabic, for example. I wanted to learn Quran. So I said to myself, Danish, I couldn't hear you, by the way, so I think there was a problem, but that's fine. So what I was saying was, I looked at my life and said, look, I really want to do this. What can I do to get to that level? And so I said, for example, I want to learn Arabic language, so I went to do that. I want to learn Quran, so I went to do that. And I said to myself, you need to have more inputs at this age in your life. So 2025, I'm assuming you guys between 2025, you want to set yourself, right now is the time for you to be a consumer, in my personal opinion. You shouldn't be seeing yourself as being a producer. That's not an absolute terms. That's not saying you can't do something that's as a producer. But all I'm saying is that you need to look at your life and say, look, I want to really spend time learning something great. That could be learning Quran. That could be learning Islamic sciences. That could be learning to drive a car. I don't know, pass a driving license or something like that. But the whole purpose is you need to look at your inputs and say, look, this is the time for me to grow. You need to grow organically, and Ramadan is the best month for that. Ramadan is the best month for your growth, spiritually and religiously speaking. Ramadan is literally a month of full blessing. So when I talk about inputs and outputs, I want everyone to think about in their lives right now, what inputs am I doing? And can you please, how do I unmute? Unmute? Uh, is there a way I can unmute?
Yeah, you just tap on the person's name and it'll say unmute.
Okay, but how do I unmute
Yes.
everyone?
It says it at the bottom, unmute all.
Unmute all. Can someone else do that on my behalf? Do I have to do that?
No, if you
I
tap on
think
mine,
anyone can unmute themselves, to be honest.
yeah, everyone can unmute themselves if they do that.
Oh,
if not, then you can
khalas,
unmute.
khalas, inshallah. So, Ismail, seeing as you know you're talking already, mashallah, can you tell me, bro, what input are you doing right now? Like that's anything,
Literally anything.
anything.
I don't have many inputs, man. I'm doing my degree.
Yeah, that's right. Chemistry.
Learning Arabic alongside it.
Yeah.
Um,
Mashallah.
What else is there? Like what? I'm sorry, I missed a little bit of what you were talking
No,
about before.
that's fine. That's fine, inshallah. So I'm saying, can everyone basically think of any inputs, outputs they've got in their lives? First and foremost, that's really important to understand. To not even understand, to put down on paper and see this is what I'm doing, input, and then output. Obviously, I'm assuming you're probably part of the Islamic Society.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are you doing?
As in, what's my role?
Yeah.
I have no role currently, but next year, inshallah, I will be. I'm going for presidency, so
Well, mashallah.
see how that goes.
General member, or
yeah, just general member at the moment.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. So you're basically volunteering for the Islamic Society. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is your output. So your output, you are in university right now. You are learning something. Okay, this meeting will end in 10 minutes, by the way. So we're gonna have
So we'll start again.
Yeah, we'll start again on the same link, inshallah. But for now, it's fine. Yeah. So I was gonna say you are working, studying rather. That is your input. Your output is that you are part of the Islamic Society. Now, if you go really deep, you'd say to yourself, well, in these outputs that I'm doing, there is inputs as well. For example, you are surrounded by good brothers. You're surrounded by suhbah, good companionship, and that has a huge impact on your behavior, your psychology, your mindset, your peace, your serenity, and your solace that you have. And so it has a direct sort of relationship. But I'm not asking you to delve into that too much. All I'm saying is that we need to think of, just put down on pen and paper right now if you can, or just think about it. What is that I'm doing in my life? That's an input and output. And so, yeah, okay, mashallah. Yeah, so anyone else have any inputs they'd like to talk about? Saad, I think Saad is here. Mr. Shareem.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, Shareem. Keep
Astaghfirullah. Inputs, well, I finished my degree, but other than a degree, I'm trying to read some Islamic books like Al-Bidayah wa Nihaya and other books as well. Trying to gain some knowledge. Well, sort of trying to utilize this lockdown situation, you might say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's one of the inputs. So when you say outputs, is it the situations where I'll be using this knowledge?
Yes. So that's my point exactly. So I know you guys have been persevering so far, trying to understand what is the purpose behind this actual step. Why are we writing this down? Why are we thinking about your inputs and outputs? You know what? Sometimes when you actually think like this, you actually realize there's a lot more I could be doing. There's a certain direction I need to be taking. And that's exactly what happened to me. So I sat down, I drew a diagram, I looked at my inputs. I said, you know what, I want to do this. I'm doing this right now. And my outputs, I said, you know what, I don't need to do my outputs just yet. I need to do maybe 1 or 2 outputs, but I need to be more inputs heavy. I need to be more input intensive, as they say. I need to be thinking about what kind of things can I do right now at my young age, 20s, your early 20s, your 30s, early 30s. You want to be really honing in on that input intensive lifestyle. So you need to be thinking about, memorizing Quran. Sorry, I'm not going to enforce anyone to do this. I'm just speaking out loud, like how I'd think for myself. So, feel free to take inspiration or. So for me personally, I look at memorizing Quran, going into the qira'at, learning Arabic sciences, going into Arabic, teaching more further into Islamic disciplines. I want to, these are my goals that I'm setting myself. So I look back and I do backward deduction. So I look back and say, what am I going to do to get to that level? Now, those things that I need to do to get to that level are inputs related, really speaking. So right now I'm a Quran teacher. I teach Quran for the past 3 years, but that has been supplemented heavily by studying. So I've had to have studied the Quran first with tajweed to get to that level. And I've had to sit down and say, look, what do I need to study first? And then I said, you know what, let me just take teaching to help me memorize the rulings and stuff. So I would teach just to keep myself engaged with the content. But I still see that teaching is an output. Does that make sense? Yeah. So for me personally, when I'm speaking to everyone here, I want them to really think about it. This Ramadan, what inputs can I do in this blessed and holy month that can set me up for life? That is the kind of mindset I want. It's a bit intensive. It's a bit over the top. Thank you, Jazakallah khair. But think about it really. Really think as a riyadh, like training. Think of it as like training yourself. I don't want to go I don't want to scare any of you. Like, this is not the purpose of this webinar, to scare everyone, because most likely I'll scare myself first. But I want everyone to think, like, truly speaking, what is it they're doing in this month, or what is it they would like to do in this month to get a generated outcome? Suleiman, do you have any thoughts on that?
Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, I mean, it is good to sort of do some take stock kind of thing, like what you say, when you sort of analyze yourself. And I had a discussion several years ago with a good friend of mine from uni, and we kind of, when we were doing our masters, I was sitting back in Manchester then, and we said we're too good to ourselves, I'll do this later, or I'll study later, or I'll knuckle down. And it is good to take stock of yourself and analyze your time. I mean, this is a reminder for myself first and foremost, obviously, but in terms of we all have the same 24 hours, but just to add one thing to what you said about kind of like doing self analysis, which is really, really important to reflect on that. But something I came across recently was about disciplining the nafs. So it's very well, all good and well, having goals. And the trouble is that sometimes you can have too many goals. There's so much content, and knowledge out there at the moment for free, mashallah, which would otherwise be paid for. The question is to kind of be consistent with it and make sure you stick with it on a regular basis. That's been an issue I've had personally long term, but I'm hoping, inshallah, to to learn the Arabic language. I'd started with a Skype teacher from Egypt, but then I dropped it. Now, inshallah, I hope to pick it up again, inshallah.
Inshallah ta'ala.
If you can maybe
from Manchester?
Yeah, I'm from London.
Okay. Is it Ustad Sharif?
No. This was online. This was through Arabic Quest. This
okay.
was Asim Mahmood via Arabic Quest, and
okay.
So that was something I hope to pick up, inshallah. But I was wondering if you could pick up on that later on about disciplining the nafs.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, look, I'm going to be honest with you. That is something that will be the first problem you'll actually have when you're thinking of inputs and outputs, my brothers and sisters. The first thing you're going to come up with is, once you've come up with a plan, just stick to that plan. One of the ways that I've actually managed to do that is to really keep myself busy. It's really to keep yourself busy. And one of the ways that I keep myself busy is that I force myself. I give myself allotted times for doing something. That was probably the biggest game changer. On the downside, I was incredibly busy. So it is quite challenging to. It's not something that I'd encourage everyone to do, but maybe that's because I was doing a lot of things at the same time. A bit of background before we, inshallah ta'ala, for the meeting's going to end, we're going to have to basically come back on the same meeting. Alhamdulillah, be all right for now, 2 minutes left. But I want everyone to understand the context. I don't think I've talked about myself. I don't really like to talk about myself, to be fair, because I just think it's really pointless. But because we're in a talk, I think it's important that people understand my background. So at the moment, I'm doing a master's in economics at Essex. I was in this university, Metropolitan, alhamdulillah, in 2013, 2016. And I was part of the community in ISoc, alhamdulillah. So it was a beautiful time for me as well. And I cultivated a really good mindset when I was at university. Once I graduated, I did a master's in 2017, a year later. After I graduated, I really started studying my Islam a lot more seriously. So Arabic, I had Arabic tuition from Egypt online as well. So I said Ustad Sharif, because I thought maybe that's the same person, because everyone in Manchester has the same teacher. So that was the reference I got. And after that, I joined Islam, and still technically on that program. And then I kind of started private studies because I wanted to basically study Islam a lot more. But after completing university, that was my sort of like motivation for me to carry on studying. But the purpose of me discussing all of this is to show everyone that actually, when we sit down and put pen to paper, this is the thing that I did. I set myself inputs. What am I doing? Outputs. And then I saw myself, actually, I need to have more inputs in my life, less outputs. So I started to retract a lot of things that I was doing because I was taking too much of that. I was taking too much of my time, and I could have used that better in a better way. But inshallah ta'ala, we're going to, obviously this is going to end 40 minutes. We're going to continue inshallah. And I'm going to be showing you the next step. So this is the first step. We discussed inputs and outputs. The next step is the ibadah for Ramadan. And that's going to include purification as well, inshallah. So I don't know how it's going to work. Can someone tell me how this is going to work? So basically it's going to end and then everyone can just rejoin.
I think end the meeting for everyone and then we'll rejoin straight away.
Inshallah. Okay, that's fine. I'll see you guys in about a minute. Inshallah. Okay, that's fine. Change, and I really mean this. I'm not this motivational speaker that's fake. I really genuinely mean this. But you can literally change your entire life in this month. I really mean that because that happened to me, and it's happened to everyone. This month, the amazing thing, actually, the really amazing thing is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends little things in our lives that keep us going. The best example I can think of is Jum'ah. The Jum'ah comes every Friday. When you're working, I've been working, I'm a marketing manager, professional, alhamdulillah, and I work. You get so busy with deadlines, you get so busy with different things. As soon as Jum'ah comes, it's amazing. It's like you go to the Jum'ah, not thinking about work, you're not thinking about any contracts, you're not thinking about anything. You're just thinking about Salah, and you enjoy that environment. 2 hours go, and it's like you've just been you're like a newborn baby, and that's like a one sign. Eid comes, for example, Ramadan comes, other things come up during the year. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends these different things to us to keep us engaged, to keep us up on our toes. You can be productive before Ramadan, but if you don't prepare for Ramadan, you won't be as productive at least. For example, like right now, since the Ayyam al-Bid, so as we know, the Prophet ﷺ fasted, he fasted 3 days in the middle of every Islamic month. So right now we are in the month of Sha'ban, the month that precedes Ramadan. And the Prophet ﷺ used to fast as much as he could in this month. And Ayyam al-Bid is the 3 days in the month, in the middle of the month. So alhamdulillah, since then I've been staying awake I don't recommend this, by the way. I'm not gonna, my Ustad personally, he recommends me to do this, but that's because I'm just saying that, for example, I stay up until Fajr and then I sleep, and then I wake up. Like, my work hours have changed because obviously working from home, I've decided to change my hours a bit. My work starts at technically 12 o'clock, and then I have different things I'm teaching during the day. So right now I had an hour class before this, I was teaching, then I have another class later on. But I've set my schedule up based on my sleeping pattern. And I'm also having my meals, not having hardly any meals during the day, just having some drink here and there. I've got my coffee here, but I'm just generally having a huge lunch, or huge dinner, and then a little bit of, instead of having suhoor, I have breakfast. So I'm trying to prepare myself psychologically for the coming of Ramadan, at least from that sense. That's the practical way of looking at it. But you also have to look at reconnecting your spiritual way. And the best way to combine your practical and spiritual elements is, at least for the first step that I've mentioned, is the input and output relationship. So the input and output relationship, anyone here can anyone elucidate to that point I've just mentioned? I don't want to repeat it again. The input and output. What is it? Anyone know? Do I have to unmute them?
To be more input heavy at this era, and then try to reduce your output so you can make more room for input.
Good, 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 good. So like, for example, look, imagine this, Suleiman, yeah? You want to learn Arabic, yeah?
Inshallah.
Okay, so imagine this, Suleiman, yeah? How old are you now? Sorry, is that a personal question?
39 yesterday, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, mashallah, mashallah, mashallah. May Allah bless you. So imagine like in 10, 15 years, yeah? 10, 15 years. Imagine in 10, 15 years, you know the whole entire Arabic language. Imagine in 10 years, you know the entire Arabic language. And I'm not talking Arabic classical Fusha, just Fusha. I'm talking the Arab as well. I'm talking about you can literally look at current tahqiqat, research papers, and you can read that fluently in contemporary Arabic as well. So you haven't just grasped the original Arabic of the Fusha of the past, but you've also learnt how to learn the contemporary Arabic as well. Imagine you've got to that stage as well. And I'm saying in 15 years' time, you are not just eloquent in Arabic, but you can teach it to younger people, and you can inspire younger people to learn that language as well and to love that language. And you can also make an extension of the Muslim culture that we've currently got. We know everyone here that's, you know, as Muslim, we would love to have learned Arabic as a kid, right? To have had it as part of our curriculum. But now you are playing an active role in helping them have that in their culture, to be raised to have Arabic as a third language or a second language. Do you know what I mean?
That sounds like a very, very good vision to have, inshallah.
Inshallah. So like that's what I'm saying. Everyone needs to work back. Everyone needs to sort of work back from that goal that they set themselves. And you just try to take those steps and take those measures. Now, Ramadan is one of the best ways to do that. So some scholars say that in Ramadan, you should really focus on your ibadah. And we're going to get to that the second stage. This is the first step, inputs, outputs. They say that ibadah intensive in Ramadan is the way forward, you know, and the ibadah consists of different things. But some of the scholars say also as well, to also spend more time seeking knowledge. Seeking knowledge in the month of Ramadan is a great ibadah as well. And it's a lovely time to do that, to rekindle that love. So I don't want to get into too much about the debates of the scholars, because really that's not really my forte. I'm not really qualified to speak on which one's more correct. But both sides have spoken. And it does seem to be the case as well that right now with the current climate that we're living in, everyone's at home, you know, everyone's in the comfort of the home, but it can be we need some extra content in our lives to keep us going. We need some extra content to keep us invigorated towards, you know, towards our goals and stuff like that.
Sorry, just a quick question before we go. So according to your experience so far in life, what is more beneficial? I mean, both have their own benefits. I'm talking about either worship, ibadah, or gaining knowledge, like reading books or whatever. Like, what's more beneficial according to your experience? So it's not a fatwa, but you know what I mean.
I think any ibadah is important. Any ibadah is important. So I'm not going to answer that question directly, but what I will say is that we need to really love the concept of ibadah. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We need to really love the concept of ibadah, to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to learn to have that in our heads in everything that we do. You know, in salah, for example, we say at-tahiyatu lillahi was-salawatu wat-tayyibat. All praise, all honor is given to Allah, was-salawat, and prayers, wat-tayyibat. At-tayyibat, what is at-tayyibat? Tayyibat is everything that's good.
Yeah.
Is from Allah. Everything that is good is for Allah. Everything that good. And what is at-tayyibat according to Sharia? Sharia is what Allah has deemed good. What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has deemed good. So what I'm trying to say here is that we need to look at that mindset, that whatever we do in our lives, if it's not good, then it's pointless. Like, it's not pointless, it's not good. So whatever you do in your life that's not good, like, you need to not do that. So what concept, the reason why I mention this, because it's to do with ibadah. So when you ask me the question, which is more important, which is more beneficial for me, my perspective, I can only say to you, do any ibadah. Do ibadah in general. The mindset is ibadah. Okay? For example, you seeking knowledge, if you do it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to remove ignorance from yourself, that's ibadah. If you be kind to your parents, it's ibadah. If you eat your food, it's an interesting one. If you eat your food for the intention that you can be awake during the day so that you can read books or you can help in your work, you can do ihsan, you can study, then that's ibadah. That's also ibadah. If you can always think like this, then you are fulfilling, at least in some spiritual sense, at-tayyibat. At-tahiyatu lillahi was-salawatu wat-tayyibat. So, I mean, I don't want to answer the question. I'm not a politician, but I'm just trying to cover my back. I think that, young people, we need to understand that you can't answer some of these questions. So that's okay, inshallah.
Okay, Jazakallah khair.
Even sleep can be ibadah. Sah, that's correct. Sleep can be ibadah. Sleep can be ibadah. If you take purposeful sleep, if you even do adhkar before you sleep, your du'as before you sleep, may Allah forgive us, and you do that will beautify, put barakah in your sleep, and it can be ibadah if you have the intention for it to rejuvenate your energy for tomorrow. Yeah.
Jazakallah.
Well, yeah, so that's the first step, everyone. I've gone through the first step now. I want everyone to really think about that first step. Okay, I'm a teacher by profession, so I naturally keep banging on about the same points because I genuinely find it's more important. Sorry, let me just end the call. Oops, sorry about that. So it's really important to understand that there are inputs and there are outputs in your life, and now is the time after this talk, while you're drinking your tea, while you're going for a walk in your house, that is, when you're speaking to your family, just think about it. What inputs can I do in my life? And you need to think about it from a perspective of at-tayyibat. Did you get what I'm trying to say? Yeah? So what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has deemed good, look for that. Look for that in your life, inshallah. So that's the first thing. The second step for having a beautiful, practical, and spiritual Ramadan is to look at the ibadat that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has talked about that are virtuous. Okay, now there are 4 acts of ibadah. I'm not going to go into too much detail because everyone knows about them already. Everyone knows about these ibadat. And that is, first and foremost, I want to go about the aspect of siyam itself. Okay, this obviously is fard upon us. This is generally given conditions. This is the original sort of, it's automatically obligatory upon us. And then if it's not, given certain conditions, then it won't be obligatory. But for us right now, generally speaking, it's obligatory for us. So we can't avoid siyam. Okay. Now, one thing that I want to talk about is how can we, and I want to pose this question to everyone listening, everyone in this chat. I'm asking you a question. How can we look at ibadah from a spiritual and practical perspective in our lives? That's a question I want to ask you, inshallah. And you can unmute yourself.
So could you repeat that question?
Yes. So I said there are 4 acts of ibadah. I haven't gone through all 4 of them. One of them is siyam. Now, what practical and spiritual methods or ways can we inculcate in our lives to kind of not just appreciate siyam, but how can I word this question? So what I'm basically asking you is, you can think of the fruits and benefits and beauties regarding siyam. Yeah? And you can give me some Quran if you want to, any evidence or stuff, inshallah. Saad, you should get that one, yeah?
Well, one of the things that Quran says is the taqwa in it, through the fasting.
Yes.
I don't know what else is mentioned in Quran about the fasting, like benefits. But from the hadith, it's the self-control of, desires, controlling of the desires as well. That's been hinted through one of the hadith. Yeah.
Okay, so we know, like you've mentioned, that one of the reasons, or لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, right? That so that we can have taqwa. Okay, now I don't want to delve too much detail, but can someone give me examples of what taqwa is? Or analogies? Or mindsets?
Isn't it something you said before where you're saying that when you're laying on your side, you're thinking about Allah. When you're sitting, you're thinking about Allah. When you're standing, when you're doing a part of your work or whatever you're doing, you're always thinking of Allah.
Yes, God consciousness. That's one aspect of taqwa. Good. That's very good, mashallah. That's actually very good, mashallah. You linked it to another verse. That's really good. Okay, anything else? Anyone else? want to speak. Don't need to be shy. Everyone should. Yes. Okay. Fasting was given to those before us. Yes, it was given to us before us. That's very true. Fasting has been prescribed by other prophets before us. It's not just the ummah of the Prophet ﷺ. And it also adds on a spiritual lens. It shows to us how unified, how we all come under the banner of humankind. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us obviously from the Prophet's people, the ummah of the Prophet, but there were people that came before us and they would fast as well. People that we don't know, generations and generations and generations ago, thousands of years ago, they would fast as well. And that kind of shows everyone that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us as humankind. In akramakum inda atqakum, and Surah Al-Hujurat, Allah has created us, and the best of you are those who have taqwa. Okay, most noble of you are those who have taqwa. Surah Al-Hujurat. Okay, so yes, so that's guarding oneself in every regard from everything that Allah has prohibited. Yes, that's one aspect of taqwa. Taqwa is also guarding yourself. Guarding yourself. May Allah forgive everyone. That is a beautiful mindset to have. So when we think of siyam, when we're fasting in siyam, one practical and spiritual benefit, really think about this deeply, brothers and sisters, subhanAllah, is that not only are we trying to be conscious of Allah in our acts and our behavior, we're also guarding ourselves. We're also trying to protect ourselves. And that really, subhanAllah, when you think about it in terms of Islam, Islam came to help us. It really came with rules that came to help us, even if we don't see the benefits of it entirely in our lifetimes. But it's really siyam. Obviously, first of all, siyam is to give us taqwa in this beautiful month. As we have more taqwa, inshallah, we start to think about actually what are the benefits of having taqwa. And one of the benefits really is that we are happier in general. Generally speaking, we are a lot happier. I mean, when you stay away from haram, and when you take that active and proactive step to say, I'm not going to do such and such sin again, or I'm not going to put myself in this company of these people, I'm going to stay away from this, you surprisingly feel a lot better about yourselves. You feel a lot happier, because this is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told you to do. If you follow it, can you imagine, do you think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not reward you for that? Wallahu la yudhi'u ajr al-muhsinin. Allah does not waste the ajr of the believers. He does not waste it. So imagine you, even in your head, imagine you don't even act upon it. Imagine in your head to think, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. This is not right. Even that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not waste. Even the thought, in the fikr, even the thought is enough in certain ways to get Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to appreciate you, to appreciate what you're doing, the active steps you're taking. So siyam, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, as they say, fasting will, to help us have taqwa. One of the fruits of taqwa is to be happier as well. Taqwa leads to happiness, sa'ada, peace and tranquility. And you trust me, when you meet scholars and you meet teachers, they just look so happy. People who follow Islam, they just look so happy. Sometimes we don't think about it, but really on a practical and spiritual level, brothers and sisters, try to think about this a bit more, that people are generally, who follow taqwa, a lot happier. Sorry, yeah?
So just wanted to add as well, I mean, like when I've noticed that in the past and inside Ramadan, outside Ramadan, when I've fasted, I tend to become sharper of mind. Alhamdulillah. Like you feel less groggy, you feel sharper. And
yes. Yeah. SubhanAllah. That's also true, because last year when I was doing my exams, this was 2 years ago, my exams, I was, before Ramadan, I was still revising. I was more efficient, and I was very hungry as well when I was revising. When it came to Ramadan, I wasn't as hungry, and for some reason I was not groggy either. So sometimes it really does kind of like, you do feel a lot more alert. طيب.
Just a thing as well, like I mean, I don't do this, but in terms of like, I had a talk by Abu Productive Muslim Muhammad Faris, and he's saying that in the corporate world, when he has a big presentation in front of individuals and this and whatever, he actually does it while he's fasting. MashaAllah.
That's amazing. So even fasting has fruits and benefits that we can't truly imagine, but anything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prescribed for us, brothers and sisters, honestly, is best for us. It is best for us. we don't know sometimes because we're so entrapped, so engulfed by something. But when we start to look out of the box and we start to realize, the philosophical sort of dealings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and what He's, prescribing us and how He's actually benefiting us, you start to realize that anything that Allah has prescribed, if you follow it, yes, وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. Yes, very good, mashallah. Surah At-Talaq. وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا وَهُوَ أَصْدَقُ اللَّهِ will make matters easy for him in this world. Yes, mashallah. Very good. He will find for him a way out. Yes. وَيَرْزُقُهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. And He will provide from him avenues he would not have seen. He will provide from him avenues, that, from endless avenues, from places that he would never have imagined. Very good, mashallah. Danish. Oh yes, mashallah, Danish. Having love for Allah and wanting to please Allah in everything that we do in our life. Yes, how we treat us. Yeah, Allah says that if you don't thank a person who does not thank the people does not thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's a hadith on this. So when we learn to how we treat others, it has a direct relationship with how we treat Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah. Very good. Okay, so now I'm going to the second aspect. The first aspect is siyam. Go back to step one. Okay, I'm a teacher, so I'm going to ram this in. Step one: inputs and outputs. Generally speaking, have a more input-intensive lifestyle, and there is no harm in that. It's not glorified because people look at YouTube and they look at people who post videos all the time and blog all the time, and you think, oh man, I want to do that, I want to do this. Yes, it's good as well. Blogging is good, alhamdulillah. I've been blogging for quite some time as well. But the mindset is try to have an input-intensive life. Try to have. There's no harm in investing in your life now. In the long run, it will lead to a better yield, better outcomes, inshallah. That was the first point. Step two is now we're looking at the 4 ibadahs. We're looking at the ibadat in Ramadan. One of them is siyam. Okay, siyam, we said لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that we get taqwa. And we talked about taqwa. Okay, we talked about what is taqwa, what are the benefits of taqwa, what are the benefits of fasting. Yeah. Do you have any resources you can signpost us for more understanding in building taqwa? I would say, please go to Surah At-Talaq. Surah At-Talaq, and there is when it talks about taqwa in that verse. If you can find, my friend is part of this app. Have you heard of Quran Hive? MashaAllah. Quran Hive is on Android. Yes, so if you go on to Android App Store, download Quran Hive, go to Surah At-Talaq, Surah 65 or Surah 66. I can't remember. I think it's Surah 65. 66 is Tahrim, I think. So 65, and then go into that verse, and then click on Tafsir ibn Kathir and read upon it, or read in Sayyid Qutb's book as well. It's really good, mashallah. Yeah, so that's good. Jazakallah khair. Now let's go to the second aspect. So we talked about siyam. Let's talk about the next one. Okay. Now the next one is to do with qiyam. So there are 4 acts of ibadah in this blessed month that the rewards are sort of increased in huge levels. Okay, so siyam is a beautiful act in ibadah that you do in this month, can really lead to a lot of reward. Qiyam, I'm not going to go into the ahkam of qiyam. Firstly, because I'm not qualified to do that. Secondly, because it would take a long time. But qiyam generally means night prayer. Okay, to stand, as you may know, alladhina yadhkuruna qiyama wa qu'uda. Ya Allah, those who remember Allah while standing and sitting. So standing can be, i.e., in performance of prayer. And so the qiyam would be something that the Prophet used to do every day anyway. It was actually made obligatory upon him. If you go to Surah Al-Muzammil, yes. So in Surah Al-Muzammil, Allah talks about this. He was prescribed, it was fard upon the Prophet anyway. But in Ramadan, as we know, as the culture is in this nowadays, we do tarawih, salat tarawih, and may Allah grant everyone happiness. May Allah grant everyone in this webinar happiness in terms of finding that sa'adah in prayer and finding an alternative for that, because that's going to be missing in our hearts. We're not going to have the tarawih this month. So that's going to be, that's alhamdulillah, we're gonna go through this together. Everyone's going to go through this. All of us, we're going to go through this together, and we're going to get stronger, inshallah. But yeah, that's something that's going to be quite sad. But yes, qiyam is very important, brothers and sisters. Qiyam is very important. How can we do qiyam? Okay, so qiyam is something sunnah, as in it's nawafil, it's extra. It's not fard upon us to do qiyam. Okay, so my first advice would be, brothers and sisters, is try to really beautify your 5 daily prayers. Okay, it's a reminder to myself, everyone listening, try to really beautify your 5 daily prayers. Okay, Allah says in Surah An-Nisa, إن الصلاة كانت المؤمنين كتابا موقوتا. إن الصلاة كانت على المؤمنين كتابا موقوتا. Yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the prayers in the prescribed times. Verse 104, I believe. So are you there? It's not there.
Sorry, yeah.
What was the verse in the Surah An-Nisa? إن الصلاة كانت على المؤمنين كتابا موقوتا, right? Verse 104, I think. Allah has given us prayer at prescribed times. Yeah?
Not sure. Just a sec. I'm checking.
إن الصلاة كانت. Sorry guys about this.
Did you say Nisa?
Was it Ma'idah? Sorry. Sorry about this.
Just on a little while you were waiting, can I just ask a strange question? It's related to Ramadan, actually.
Yeah, go for it, inshallah.
Maybe, if you can signpost us to someone who might know, but would it be possible to do itikaf in our own houses kind of thing?
So my teacher talked about this. He said do itikaf, but I don't think he meant ahkam wise. I think he meant spiritually, because we are going to be. So I don't know the ahkam for that.
Nafal itikaf kind of thing.
I don't know. I know my ustad said do itikaf, but in a spiritual way. So I understood it to be spiritually, that you retreat yourself in it. You've got your own mihrab. So I've got my own mihrab over there. I've designed it, and I've said my intention when I go there. I do ibadah. That's also another thing as well. If you want to do that, have a section in your room where you just make for ibadah. That will help you psychologically. Like, this is my workspace right now. This is what I know when I'm here. I'm doing work. I should be, at least. So with regards to i'tikaf, I'm going to ask my teacher. Inshallah ta'ala, about that. Inshallah.
Let us know in the WhatsApp chat if you're in it, inshallah, please.
Inshallah, I'll try to see if I can get any insight from him. Did you manage to find the verse, Sa'ad? Inna salata kanat ala mu'minina kitaban mawquta.
No, I can't find it. Sorry.
Where's that tartil at? Okay, طيب, inshallah. Sorry about this, guys. I've got I know the ayah. Inna salata kanat mu'minina kitaban mawquta. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, we have prescribed prayers we have given prayers at the prescribed times. Yeah, Allah has given prayers at prescribed times. Okay, that's the verse. Regards to where it is in the Quran, I'm not sure. It's either in Ma'idah or Surah Nisa, at least from what I've understood. So that is something really, really important that we try to focus on first. Okay, we've already talked about inputs and outputs. One of the inputs in your lives could be that you would like to get khushu' in your prayers. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ. Allah says, successful are the believers. Like, it's in the past tense. It's past tense. It's not present or future. It's past tense. That the believers have been successful. The believers. You know, when you say something in the past tense, it adds like brevity of certainty that you are definitely, like, you know, when I'm speaking to Hamza right now, right? Hamza's there. I can see him on the thing. I say, Hamza, look, you're going to get £5 billion in 1 year's time. Yeah. Which you're going to give to a charity, inshallah, yeah? Okay, you're going to get £5 billion. If I say to you, you are, okay, 103 billion. طيب, جزاكم خيرا. So if I say, oh, Muhammad, mashallah. Okay, is that the Egyptian brother? Anyways, so yes. Oh, mashallah, very nice, very nice. Okay, so if I say to you, you're going to get a billion, mashallah, you're going to get a billion, £5 billion in 1 year's time. It's not as deep as saying, it's like saying you have got £5 billion in 1 year's time. Like, it's already done deal. And in 1 year's time, you're just going to get it. It's different. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. Believers are successful. الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ. Those who, when they pray their salah, خَاشِعُونَ, they pray with khushu'. They pray with khushu', okay, awareness and awe and fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah? So that's the one thing you have to understand, is that salah is so important. I'm talking to myself here. Beautify your 5 daily prayers at the prescribed times. Okay, that is the asl. That is in Ramadan. If you're already doing that, then you can teach me, inshallah. Then yeah, I'm your student. But try to focus on your 5 daily prayers. Then you look onto the tarawih. Now, what can I do for tarawih, night prayers? What can I do? Well, I had this thing that I would do anyway. After tarawih, or maybe before, I would play the Haramain stream and I'd watch. That's obviously everyone's done that. Mashallah, it's an amazing thing to do when you're on YouTube and you just watch it and you see them all praying and you see the uncles crying and stuff. It's very nice, mashallah. But that's something that I'd also recommend. Maybe not watch it now because I don't think they're going to be doing it this year. If they do, that's really good. But in the previous years, look at the recordings. Try to get in your house in an environment where they love prayer. It's just full of that vibe of Quran and prayer. Yeah. So that's the second thing. The first one is Siyam. Second one is Qiyam. The third one is Tilawa, I think. Yes, Tilawa. Okay, so Tilawa. Now, I'm not going to go into the difference of opinion on how the scholars would read Quran. I'm not going to say which one's more correct. Some people would say they would finish the Quran every 2 days, every day. They would finish the entire Quran. They would read it at home. I can't do that. I'll be honest with you. I can't do that. I can finish the Quran once. I'll tell you a story, actually. I'm talking too much, so if anyone wants to speak, just say no. So we have 8 minutes left. Brilliant. Okay, that's fine, inshallah. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a quick story. I used to work as a barista. Okay, that's why I love coffee so much. I used to work as a barista, and I had 2 jobs at the same. I was doing my masters, and I had 2 jobs. So in the morning, I had a 5:30 till 5:30 till 10 o'clock shift, where I was a barista, and then I would teach in a madrasa in the evenings. From 4:30 till 7:30. So both of my days in the morning and the evening were sort of busy with work. So I was really struggling to finish the Quran, but I managed to finish the Quran that month. Yes, that's also very good, mashallah. So I managed to finish the Quran, alhamdulillah. I would carry with me. Oops, subhanallah, give me a sec. I would carry with me this Quran here, this very small one. This is the one I used, and basically I finished the Quran with this. I would have it in the studio, in the office, the cafe, and I managed to finish the Quran there. But the point I'm trying to make is that when you make effort to read the Quran, then you will find that time. You will definitely find that time. Man jadda wajad, as they say, you know. When you strive for something as well, what is mankind except what he strives for? So in Surah Al-Najm. So the point I'm trying to make is that when we strive to the Quran and try to read the Quran in our lives, you will make time. Busy people, they are busy because they make time for the things and they prioritize their things. If a busy person says, I don't have time, it's not true. They have time, they have to make the time for it. They prioritize their time. Everyone has time. So if you make it, definitely I would recommend this month, try to learn the Quran, try to listen to the Quran. If you can't read the Quran as proficiently as you'd want it to, then you can listen to the Quran. Before I started my Quran studies, ilm tajweed and stuff, I listened to a lot of Quran and I would follow it with my phone app, so I could see how the reciter was reading the Quran. That transformed me so much that I skipped 1 year of study of an institute because I just learned it through that way. So it's possible that you can find ways to improve your tajweed and your Quran just by listening to it as well. Some of the scholars even say who gets more reward, to listen to Quran, to read Quran. But anyway, that's a different story. But yeah, so that is one aspect of Ramadan. I would definitely recommend everyone think about how can they look at improving the tilawah of Quran. So yeah, any questions?
Just to let you know, we've got 5 minutes left before Zoom goes off.
Okay, inshallah. We're nearly finished. The last one is Sadaqa, okay? Now, everyone loves Sadaqa here. All of you guys are ISoCers, or you've been listening to this and you give a lot of charity, mashallah. Everyone sees the been to charity events, they get the charity appeals, So you all know the hadith and the Quran verses on Sadaqa. I'll just say, look, you guys are probably much better than I am with regards to this, but you find so much happiness when you give monetary. And I'd advise everyone just learn to have that mindset to give, because it's just an amazing opportunity for everyone to give in this blessed month of Ramadan. You can find ways you can give on a regular basis. That also I'd recommend. There's some applications I think that help you do that. I can't remember the applications off my head. But yeah, so definitely be on the lookout of paying your zakat as well. So people like to pay their zakat in this month, and just give sadaqah as well, inshallah. Look for causes that are unique. Look for impact. That's my advice as well, inshallah. So that's step 2. So step 1 I've gone through is the input and output. I want everyone to be more input intensive. Any tips on how to reflect on the eyes of Quran? Yes, Yes, I will get back to that very quickly, inshallah.
Should we finish off and then inshallah on the next call we'll do the questions? Yeah.
Okay, Bismillah, we'll do that, inshallah. So bear that in mind. One question: any tips to reflect the Quran? So the last step, step 3 rather, penultimate step, is building love. Okay, now this is a very wishy-washy topic, but what does it mean exactly? To build love, to be with Allah, to be with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to be with Allah. It's a spiritual thing. Everyone, you need to try your best, inshallah, to build a love and a relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-Wadud, the all-loving, Al-Kareem, the most generous and noble. To be alone with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to have, the thing is, guys, you can have your friends and you can, you feel content with them, but really, when you're with Allah, when you're sitting down in your prayer mat and you're thinking of Allah and you're being with Allah and you're worshipping Allah and you're making dua to Him, you're talking to Him, He is the most important thing in your life. Allah is the most important thing. Like, I don't want to talk about it too much. It's just so obvious, and it's such an important thing that we need to understand, is that forget everything, forget even your friends, forget everything. It's just you and Allah. Like, that is, even when you're walking down in the street, it's just you and Allah. Like, everything in your life is for Allah. Yeah. قل إن صلاتي ونسكي ومحياي ومماتي لله رب العالمين. Everything is for لرب العالمين. So for رب العالمين, everything. So everything we do is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I forgot where that is in that surah. Anyone knows what ayah that's in? Is it in Qasas? I'm not sure. Please forgive me. But yes. Also, in terms of love, build it for every blessing. Learn to be shakir. And mashallah. You guys are on top of it. I need to be your students, inshallah. Yeah. So for every blessing that you have in your life, you need to just honestly link it to Allah. Link even this phone. I'm reading Quran. I prepared something for today using this phone. Obviously I'm not like it's made by a person, but Allah Jalla wa Ala inspired that person, and He gave them the faculties, the human mind, to use it to create something. 162, mashallah. Egyptians, mashallah, man. Yes, so building love, okay? Try to build love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, being alone with Him in isolation, and for every blessing. And the last one, inshallah, is to wait, okay? Now wait. You've done all the steps. Everything that I've talked about, you've thought about it. Now you have to wait. You wait for the nasr. You wait and be patient, and Allah Jalla wa Ala will deliver that relief. Okay, we've got less than a minute left before we finish, inshallah, and then we have Q&As after that. But I can just elaborate that point very, very, very quickly in the next one. What does it mean to wait? We've talked about everything so far right now. Step 1, step 2, and step 3, which is to build love. And now the step 4 is the concept of waiting. The waiting for the success of that person. Well, how can you wait? Sometimes we wait, but then we just kind of get back and relapse a bit, go back to who we were before. That's not really waiting. Waiting is the hardest part. Learning is not the hardest part, is acting upon your learning, right? So that's going to be the next part, inshallah. And that's going to be a very quick point because it's just a little bit, and then we're going to have Q&A. That's okay with everyone, inshallah. Should I end the meeting?
See you on the other side, inshallah.
Okay. Whoa, man. What are you doing, bro? We've been seeing us at that. Do you mean like, okay, in the webinar here? Okay. Anyone?
Inputs and outputs.
Good. Can you give me an example? What does that mean?
I don't know if I understood it right, but would it be like, for example, me doing my degree and then going into that field and using my knowledge that I gained to do a job?
Yeah. Okay. That's one. So you're saying that you look at your life and your inputs and you see, I should be having a more input intensive life so I can have more outputs in the future, so I can give back to the community. Yeah. In that sense.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. So that's what I mean by inputs into outputs. So everyone here is technically a youth in Islam. You're a youth until 40. You're a youth until 40. And some of the scholars say,
Mashallah.
I was going to say that you're a youth until 40. And the thing is, right, the scholars say, can you provide an example of a typical input? Okay, so typical input. Okay, I'll get back to that first. So your youth until 40, and so the scholars would advise not a person not to become a teacher, like a proper like Islamic sciences teacher until you've reached 40 and you've studied for a long period of time. Because when you age, naturally you become wise. Naturally you become wise through experiences. You understand human psyche, and you've really got something. You've really like strengthened your fitrah. So you become wise, and also you need to give yourself time for you to cement your knowledge, right? So that's that. A typical input would be to learn Arabic, for example. That's an input for me. Okay, I'm not saying you should do that. That's an input for me. To provide example, that's my input personally, to learn Arabic so I can basically understand my religion more. As the hadith says, man yuridillahu bihi khayran yufaqihu fi din. Whoever Allah loves or wants good for him, He gives him fiqh of the deen, comprehension of the religion. Yeah, so that's input. So we talked about inputs and outputs. Inputs, outputs. Everyone tried to get more inputs in your life. Okay, look at your outputs and say, look, do I really need to do this? Do I really need to have this in my life? Right now, can I delay this a bit, or can I reduce that intensity? Yes, input is something that you do as a consumer. So you're taking something, you're learning something, you're building something, you're developing something yourself primarily. That is the ultimate thing. And you're doing that in your life. So you're learning your degree, for example, you're studying that input, that's an input in your life. You're not giving the university anything. They're giving you, okay, you're giving them money, but they're giving you something, you're taking it. That's an input. That's an input. And output is something you give back. And output is something that you give as a product or service. You're the producer of that. For example, I used to do podcasts. For example, I was a podcast host. So I would give back to the people as a host. So I'm helping someone, I'm giving content. Yeah. So it's a bit like that. You're a consumer, an input, producer, output. Everyone should try to have more inputs in their lives. I hope that's okay. Iqra. Yeah, that's okay, inshallah. Let me know if that's what you're asking. So that's the first step. Second step we talked about was, who knows? Anyone?
Siyam.
Siyam, good. Okay, but what was the thing? What was the sort of thing? Siyam is part of it. There were 4.
Siyam.
Ibadah.
Ibadah.
Good. Ibadat. Okay. So we talked about inputs and outputs. A good example of an input, or good examples of inputs, is ibadat. So the ibadat we're going to mention was siyam, qiyam, tilawa, and the 4th one?
Charity.
Charity, good. So I work for Iman Academy. I'm the operations and marketing manager. We've just released a 4-part course on those 4 aspects of ibadah. So it's going to be on YouTube. It's free. So you can watch it on Iman channel, YouTube channel. It's there, inshallah. Yeah. So it's talked about qiyam, siyam, tilawa, and Sadaqa. Okay. And alhamdulillah, it's perfect for all that stuff. If you want to learn more about it, the spiritual benefits, all there. Trust me, it was amazing, mashallah. Okay, anyway, so that's the second one. Step 3 is what? Okay, it's building love. Okay, it's building love. Now, you might think, well, what's that got to do with the other points? It's a bit random. It's not, because when you do ibadah, okay, there are 2 aspects. There's hope and there's fear. Okay, there's hope. You have hope in Allah's mercy. You have love. Yeah, but you have hope and you have fear. You fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sometimes. When you don't pray prayers like, oh no, that's not good. I fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I don't want to get punished, right? So that's fear. You're motivated by fear and hope. These are the 2 things that a believer usually has. Now, underpinning both, you might think, what? When I say this, you might be like, what? That's not true. But trust me, think about it. Think about it. You guys are smart. Everyone here is smart, okay? If the underlying thing behind hope and fear, both of them, is love. Everyone understand that? Yeah? When you fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you still love Him. If you didn't love Him, you would not fear Him. But you know Allah, and when you fear Allah, فَفِرُّوا إِلَى اللَّهِ فَفِرُّوا إِلَى So flee to Allah. When you fear Allah, you don't run away from Him, you flee to Him. You do the exact opposite. Anything else, you usually run away from. But with Allah, you فَفِرُّوا إِلَى اللَّهِ So you flee to Allah. In Surah Adhariyat, I believe. Adhariyat, okay? So that's Surah Adhariyat. فَفِرُّوا إِلَى اللَّهِ Yeah? So you flee to Allah. So behind love and behind fear and hope of Allah is love. So we have to build love. You have to build love to Allah. Two things regarding that. You build love for Allah to pray, to be with Him in isolation, to be with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah? And you build love amongst others. You build love, you basically do good acts. And I said here, just to understand the blessings that you have in our lives. إن في خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف الليل والنهار لآيات لأولي الألباب. الذين يذكرون قياما وقعودا ويتفكرون في خلق السماوات والأرض ربنا ما خلقت هذا باطلا. That ربنا, oh Lord, you haven't created this without purpose. Subhanak, glory be to you. Yeah. So understand that this is love. You're looking at the blessings of your life. You're looking at this camera. You're looking at this Zoom conference call. You're looking at everything. It's like, this is a blessing from Allah. This is a blessing, the ni'mah. Yeah. So that's the step 3. The step 4 was the idea of waiting. When we get ourselves into this mindset of worshiping Allah and having love for Him, you have to be patient, brothers and sisters. Play the long game. Play the long game. Don't give in too easily. It's very lonely and isolating, pardon the irony. It's a very lonely, isolating time now, because you're going to start to do things. You're going to start to be a person that is not normal. That makes sense. Slightly abstract, because you're disciplining yourself. You're taking yourself outside of the norms, societal factors. I'm an economics student myself, studied economics in undergrad as well. There's one argument from a philosophical point of economics is that everyone is just market forces. Everything you do. I reduce the price of Fanta by 50p. Now next thing you know, the demand for Fanta will increase and people will not start to drink more Fanta. Yeah, but we're taking ourselves away from all of this stuff. We're taking ourselves away. You're going to start to be really weird. Now, that's an exaggeration, by the way. You're not going to be weird like me, but you're going to be a little bit weird. You're going to be a bit different. You're not going to have the same, you're not going to be what everyone else is doing. You're doing something that's long term. You're thinking outside the box. You're going to be a different person, basically. You're literally on the way to transform yourself. If you give in and you say, you start to give in to certain things and you start to become like everyone else, you've lost your special and individual traits that would have made you different if you carried on. So play the long game. Play the long game. Take yourself out of everything mindset-wise and start to be patient and wait for the nasr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the spiritual context, we look at it and say, look, the nasr of Allah will come. It's near. It's near to us. We just have to follow, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about, what Allah wants us to do. Yeah. So that's what I mean by waiting. Okay, questions. Barakallahu feekum.
Had a quick one, Asim.
Yes.
Any tips for the taqwa, like how to develop taqwa?
I believe you are more knowing than I am.
Astaghfirullah, no, I'm not.
I would say personally, Allah says in the hadith, Inna Allah katib al-ihsan ala kulli shay. Allah has prescribed ihsan upon everything. And the ihsan of worship is to know, what's the hadith again? The hadith about ihsan is to worship Allah as if you see Him. That is ihsan, okay? And when you worship Allah as if you're seeing Him, you literally Allah's watching you and you can see, you don't want to disobey Him when you know that He's, that is the highest form of ihsan in terms of Allah, worshiping Allah. So definitely I would say, try to think about that a bit more. Try to think about the hadith. It's an amazing hadith, subhanAllah. Yep. Any questions?
Okay, Sadaqa.
Wa alaikum, bro.
If there's anyone that has any questions and they don't want to voice it, they can send it on the chat, inshallah, and I'll read it out.
Yeah, it's a really good point.
I think when you were talking about, how you're saying fear, you fear Allah because of the love of Allah. a lot of the time, a lot of people think, oh, but why should we fear Allah? Like, that's like, why should we be scared? And like, this is not really a good way of putting Islam and this. I think one of the ways to understand it as well is that not just fearing Allah, but fearing to, I think you just said this, but fearing to that you're going to, what do you call it? Displease Him. Or you're going to do something wrong and you don't want to displease your Lord because He's the one who's, you know, the one who's created you, the one who's to this very second sustaining you. I mean, you owe your life to Him. So in a way, like, as in not being fearful as in, oh no, He's my Rabb and He's going to punish me, but as in you don't want to displease someone who has done so much for you.
Yeah. No, that's literally the best way of saying it, mashallah. May Allah preserve you. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. What was your way of feeling deeper for Allah? Wait, is that a question to me?
I think so.
Is it? What does that mean? What is your way of feeling deeper for love? Okay, to build love for Allah. Okay. Right. What have I done? It's just to make it your life, really. Like, if you just think about it, like, this is the most important thing in my life. Like, you make it just literally like, you know, there's a beautiful hadith. The Prophet used to make this dua actually right now, at this period right now, between Asr and Maghrib. The dua they used to make, لا تكلني إلى نفسي طرفة عين. Do not leave me for even a blink of an eye. Subhanallah. Like, even I'm blinking, like, do not leave me. He's saying, oh Allah, يا حي يا قيوم برحمتك أستغيث أصلح لي شأني كله ولا تكلني إلى نفسي طرفة عين. Do not leave me for even a blink of an eye. The Prophet, bless his soul, made that dua between Fajr and sunrise and Asr and Maghrib. He would make that dua. So think about it from that way. That if the Prophet used to do that, think about, if imagine you had that relationship with Allah, but you wanted to not, for Him not to leave you, and you could always make dua for Him in that way. You know how much love you'd feel. It's amazing, subhanAllah. Yep. Any questions? To know that who Allah is way deeper than Allah. Yeah, it's true. Is to connect to Allah. What does He do for us? Know what He does for us. That's beautiful. Yep. When we know what He does for us. MashaAllah. Yep. Any questions? Man Academy series on Aqidah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I got to Iman Academy, the Aqidah module, Ali Hamuda. I'm literally speaking to him now. I just had to end the call by accident. I hope he's not angry with me. I have to call him back after this, inshallah. But yes, he's a great.
I thought I heard Sheikh, you say Ali Hamuda for a second.
Yeah. No. He just called me right now, but I have to call him because he's doing a webinar right now. I have to set it up at 8 o'clock, inshallah. 8:20. But anyway, that's later. But yes, definitely would recommend that. I don't think that's probably politically right to advertise that. I don't think that's a good idea. But I'm ISoc, so I know these things.
I think someone asked.
Yes, you may.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Is my microphone working?
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, because someone was asking how to deepen your love for Allah. So basically, like, just always like speak to Allah, like so like always turn to Him and always like just all the time, like through your thoughts and stuff like that. I don't know, maybe like that's what I do. So then that way you're always like conscious.
That's very true.
Like, do you get what I mean? If I don't know, but yeah, just.
Listen, what's that verse? It's still here. What's that verse? وإذا سألك عبادي عني فإني قريب أجيب دعوة الداعي إذا دعان. Yeah, that verse of the Baqarah. You know.
Yeah.
وإذا سألك, and then when you ask of me, فإني قريب. Tell them I'm near. Allah's saying, tell them I'm near. أجيب دعوة الداعي إذا دعان. I respond to the caller when he's calling upon me. So when you make dua to Allah, you're calling to Him. When you speak to Him, you calling to Him. He will respond to you. Like, أجيب دعوة الداعي إذا دعان. Like, He will respond to the caller calling upon him. It's a very long way of saying it, but it's showing how much Allah loves you. Is that even the way He conveyed that. Sorry if I'm going off topic, but that's kind of what you were saying, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I think there was a question in the previous call, and they were saying something about how to make reflection, like how do you actually reflect upon ayahs, and then they said tadabbur after.
Yeah, so Allah says in the Quran, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ. So Allah is saying, and do they not ponder over the Quran? Okay? I remember doing a khutbah at Manchester Metropolitan about 4 or 5 years ago. I used that verse. I did a khutbah on pondering actually. I have notes on this, like a two screenshot infographic. It's not a page, it's like, I will share that inshallah on how to ponder. That was the question, how to ponder. I'll share that inshallah on the WhatsApp, and then you can share it on. I don't know how you're going to do it actually.
I'll send the committee chat, and then they'll spread it inshallah.
Yeah, the pondering. I mean, pondering is just yeah. I mean, I gave you like 5 tips of pondering on the Quran. That it was like 5 tips. Don't know how this is going to work, but I'll send it to you inshallah, then you can try see. But that's okay. Yeah. سبحانك وبحمدك ونشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت ونستغفرك ونتوب إليك والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.